Last
I'm
episode, I
down.
had my nose like this for some reason, like the whole time. And it was really not a good angle.
How do you even manage that? Were you looking at the ceiling?
I don't know, but I have nose hair and it became really apparent to me that you can see it.
Not your nose hair in a video on Zoom.
I'm a YouTube sensation. It's fine.
Yeah.
The two of
A
you are
Okay.
now
YouTube
Instagram
sensation.
Yeah.
sensation. That photo you posted, oh my God.
Yeah. You know what I
So
I
cute.
was
remember?
like, I don't know which one or who's who. And I was like, really? Like, he has never met you, Mackenzie. So I guess that would make sense. But he's met you, Sage. Like, what?
It's
Like,
clearly me.
it's
Like
clearly
the
you.
Birkenstocks, the socks,
The
and
bangs that are like,
and you know I was so pissed about having to wear matching outfits and that it
yeah.
was a purple flower. I remember being so mad about those overalls. Like I was like, this is so dumb.
I mean, at least they were overalls, right? It could have been a dress.
Yeah. We had a few of those. Plaid.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna jump in. We feeling good with that? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, welcome back,
Keep your notes.
Saltines. Today we have a very special guest back with us. We have Amanda back on today. We did 2 episodes previously with Amanda, where she was talking about, she's a women's health coach, and she was talking about the menstrual cycle and menstrual health and women's health. And then we had another episode where we talked about the seasons of the cycle. Super cool episodes. Today we're really not talking about either of those things. I was chatting, I think it was maybe last week, Amanda, I don't know, with her, and we talk a lot. We're good friends, and she was sharing with me a little bit about a recent experience she had where somebody openly discriminated against her as a woman. And she can testify to the fact that I was pretty lit about it. I'm still pretty upset about it, but she was like, "Man, this feels like something that should almost like go on your show and be talked about." And um, I definitely was like, "Yeah, 100%." So today we're gonna let her share her experience and her story a little bit, and then maybe talk a little bit just in general about body image as women. So, Amanda, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Welcome back.
Am I your most abundant guest?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should it be the Salty Sisters and Amanda?
Yes. And we can't pay you. Just like
Pro bono.
we're actually going to need some money for the podcast.
Can you pay us to be on?
Can you Venmo us some money?
As soon as I get some paying clients. Okay, I'm a women's health coach. Yes, and also personal trainer. I've spent a lot of my last decade teaching fitness, and I had not been doing that a lot in the last few years. And I decided that I have a lot of education and a lot of really good knowledge in exercise and a really good foundation for women's menstrual cycle health. And so I decided that it would be a really good idea to start integrating them all together, like, the full spectrum of women's health, because women are exercising and doing things in the gym and outside of the gym. And it's really important that they know all the things about their body while they're doing it. And so I took a course that really re-inspired me to start integrating this information back into my practice. And then I needed to seek out a gym to do this at. And so there was a gym in town. There is a gym in town that a friend of mine has recommended years past. And so I just thought, that'd be really cool. Let me just go check in and have a conversation. And so I call the owner and we chat, and it's a man. And, he seems really friendly. And then we end up meeting in person and talk about, my past and history and the things that I'm interested in women's health and all these things. And he seems like a cool guy, is really interested in the work that I'm doing and the training that I have and all the different things. and seemed like a really cool scenario. I'm an independent, I would have been an independent contractor, and it just, it kind of checked all the boxes of what I was looking for. So I was like, okay, cool, this is great. So I go through the process, all the different things that I need to do to make this relationship happen. And then the last piece of the puzzle was I had a little contract that I needed to sign. So I decided to drop it off one day. I was running errands, and I was like, oh, I'm going down that way. I'll take it. I'll see if he's there. I'll drop it by. And so I stop in, and I am wearing a tank top, shorts, and sandals because it's 90 something degrees out. And that's what people wear when it's 90 something degrees out. So I go in and I give him the paperwork, and he introduces me to his wife. And then she asks me, what my specialty is. And so I tell her women, and then, we chat a little bit. And then she asks me if I know how to climb a rope because she's training for a Spartan race coming up and she doesn't know how to climb a rope. So I said, okay, yes, I do. I know how to climb a rope. And she asks if I'll show her. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll show you how to climb a rope. And so we go over to the other room, and there's this tiny little rope. It was actually kind of funny because it's not even like a tall rope. So kind of a joke of an experience trying to, you couldn't climb it because it was like just barely taller than me. But regardless, when you're climbing a rope, you have to have your arms over your head.
Yeah.
And conveniently, I'm wearing a tank top today. Thought about changing it, which is funny because I was like, oh, it's a video. Maybe I should change into a t-shirt. And then I was like, wait, it'd probably be better to not do that. So I reach over my head, right? So I have a rope, my arms over my head. Well, I don't shave my armpits. I don't shave my leg hair. I don't shave anything, actually, at all. My body hair stays intact fully across the entire body. And that's a choice that I made, just kind of like a little side note. I made that choice a couple of years ago because it feels really important to me that I am choosing to walk in life unaltered. And it's a whole hell of a lot easier and takes less time. And I just can't seem to figure out why I should be doing it. So 2 years, I haven't done it. And there's a really big community of people that are that way here. And so it's just kind of like my normal experience in life. I have a lot of friends that don't shave, and I have a lot of friends that do shave, and it is what it is, So
Durango.
I don't think anything of it, basically. And so I have that experience. It felt really good. The interaction was really great. I was like all lit up and excited. I was like, oh, this felt really good to teach her how to climb a rope. I haven't done this in a really long time. I was still good. So I left. I was like really excited. And then, I don't know, a handful of days later, the owner asked if we could have a phone call. And so I call him, and he said, this part's funny because he says, first, I was going to talk to you about this the other day, but I decided to wait for a phone call instead of in person, which is, to me, red flag number one. And so then he proceeds to tell me that I can't wear sandals in the gym because I was wearing sandals that day. And actually, I had taken them off to climb the rope because, it's not good to climb a rope with sandals or no shoes, but I chose to be barefoot, and he has a rule against bare feet. And so that was an issue. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I probably would never wear my sandals in the gym because I don't wear sandals in the gym, but I was not working and I was just there dropping paperwork off. And so then he continues and says that I need to wear a shirt that covers my underarm hair and that I need to look professional. And in that moment, I was like, okay. And then, he talked about some other things. And then we got off the phone, and I just sat there and I was like, did he just like target me and my hair? Was that what just happened? And so I came out of this scenario, I'm like thinking, okay, well, the way that he presented it was kind of like, well, you're a trainer and while you're working, I want you to look professional and, therefore wear XYZ, whatever. And I'm like, okay. In that situation, there's like that context makes sense. I've had jobs before where that's the case. And I've worked at a gym that actually had me wear a specific shirt that said the gym on it and had said trainer and whatever. And I've also been at other gyms that had nothing whatsoever, no like dress code of any kind. And so I've kind of been across the gamut, but that makes sense to me. But I was like, if that's the case, why didn't he just tell me like, oh, that's the policy, like the uniform trainers need to wear is XYZ, right? That's not how he approached it. He specifically said, I need to cover my underarm hair. And so it really like upset me. And I was like super fired up. I started writing a super aggressive email. My husband read and he's like, well, if your intention is to, burn the bridge and, create this huge fight, then maybe that's appropriate. But you might want to sit on that for a little bit. So I sat on it, and then a friend of mine encouraged me to actually have a conversation with him rather than an email. And I said, okay, you're right. And so the first, like the suggestion to me too by a friend was, why don't you just get some more answers, ask some more questions, like, do you have different policies for men and women? Is this something that you're asking for while I'm working or while I'm working out? Is there a specific uniform that you actually require? Like, is there a policy? Just like get all the details. And then it was also recommended that I, share like invite him into my experience in a way that creates less defensiveness. So it was suggested that I, ask him if he's willing to hear how it made me feel. Because then if he says yes and I tell him how it made me feel, then he's less likely to be defensive. And so I was like, okay, this advice seemed really good because it kind of like stifled down my like aggression and my like first desire to like, punch him in the face. And so I thought, okay, that's really good. That's good advice. I sat down, I wrote my questions, and I got clear about how it made me feel. And then I called him and we had this conversation that did not go how I anticipated. Because I'm thinking over here, I'm like, wow, I'm like being really professional. I'm like going through the list. I'm like asking questions and I'm, just sharing openly like how it made me feel. And that's not how it just didn't go so super well. And so I don't remember the order of operations because that's how the memory works, especially when you're all fired up. But I asked him some questions. And in the process of asking those questions, it comes out that he doesn't actually have a policy for what trainers should wear. He has nothing written down. He said, it just needs to be professional. And obviously that's super subjective because professional for you, Mackenzie, is a lot different than professional for me working in a gym.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of subjectivity to that experience. And so he doesn't have anything written down. So he basically can't even like tell me anything because he hasn't gone clear on what he even wants people to wear. And then he says to me, because, he could tell that, I'm a little agitated because I'm asking questions that are like really focused on this scenario. And then he said, he's like, you were wearing a tank top and you were showing your underarm hair. My wife didn't like it. I didn't like it. And quite frankly, as a woman, it is inappropriate to show your underarm hair.
Oh, and there it is.
There it is.
Ooh.
So I don't even think I got to the exact question of, is this just while I'm training people or is this while I'm working out also? Because I feel like he was pretty clear in that statement. And so then, I probably got a little bit more aggressive. I don't know, aggressive maybe. It's hard to say. But that's whenever I started telling him he should probably get clear on his boundaries and, like where does he draw the line? Because, at what point, like, can he just decide that how we naturally show up is not okay? And the conversation kind of went into some other things too, which he just like brought in some of his other rules. And he asked me, he's really particular about the rules. He has this like list of 20 rules that he has everybody sign. And he starts talking about how strict he is on rules and how he's probably the strictest in the whole country, and he runs a tight ship. And, then he asked me my opinion on a couple of the other rules. And it just really went downhill after that. And at one point in there, I did ask him, if he was willing to hear how it made me feel. And I told him it made me feel disrespected and singled out and discriminated against. And, he did say like, "Oh, I'm sorry. That didn't mean to make you feel that way." But it was definitely this like very aggressive stance of like, well, you're a woman, that's inappropriate. And I run a tight ship, and that's just the way it is. And somewhere in there, I early on, I was like, well, it's pretty clear this is not going to be a good fit for me. And then he also felt it necessary after I had already said that to then tell me that it wasn't going to be a good fit. I
Oh,
was like, okay. And I told it, and he's like, well, I thought that you were just coming in to drop off paperwork that day. So, I didn't think that you would show up to the gym this way. And I was like, well, I was just dropping off paper that day. And he's like, well, then why'd you even bring it up? I said, because I would have shown up in a tank top at some point because it's a gym and people wear tank tops to work out in gyms. That's the thing that women do. And that's kind of where the conversation ended. But it was just very blatant, right? Like the words, the choice words of it being inappropriate as a woman, that really stood out to me. And there's really no turning back after that experience.
no. I'm so sorry you had that experience. And I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself.
Me too.
I think it's hard sometimes to stand up to people that make you feel like you've been singled out because you're a woman.
Yeah.
Personally, sometimes I think it's easier to just like people please.
It's a lot easier. I mean, it could have gone two ways, right? And even after the first conversation that I had with him, I kind of sat with it and I was like, well, I could not make a big deal of this. I could just, go in, wear a t-shirt and, just keep going, right? And in all honesty, in a lot of situations, I probably would have worn a t-shirt anyway. So it may not have ever come up again, right? Like it just might have been, it just might have just kept going. And so I thought about it, and then it just like didn't sit right. It just didn't feel good in my body. And if he had said, oh, well, trainers need to wear shirts or trainers need to do this or whatever it is, and like he hadn't singled me out, then that would have all been a totally different story, because I'm all for it. I told him that I respect that you have rules and you have policies. That's fine. And, I'm in agreement that if I sign a contract with you and come into a relationship with you, then I'm going to follow the rules. But this is literally, this is actual blatant discrimination, because you don't have a rule against tank tops in your gym. You're saying that it's inappropriate for me specifically not to wear a tank top in your gym, which you really can't even say to me. And so, yeah, like it would have been easier. It would have been easier to just blow it over and just keep going. And I would have had a place to train at. And, I could have done that. But then I'm like walking around hiding who I am. I allowed him to say that to me, in this scenario where I ignore it. It's like I've allowed him to just say that to me and get away with it, basically, and like bring no awareness to the fact that that was actually really inappropriate. And so even though this is the more difficult route, it feels really important because, I don't know, it's like, how far do I need to go? Like, do I need to get into a huge fight? Do I need to, you know, threaten a lawsuit? Like I could threaten a lawsuit. I absolutely could, because he's literally not allowed to say that to me. But that's really not worth it to me. What's worth it to me though is to actually like tell him like that is inappropriate, because maybe nobody else would, right? Like he's never encountered this specific situation. He might in the future, because there's a lot of women pushing back against a lot of different things. But come to find out with talking to some other people that this isn't the first time that he's made like, or that he's treated women differently. And so, a friend of mine he was pressuring her to lose weight when she told him that wasn't one of her goals. And so there's this very specific idea of how a woman should look in his mind, and he is reacting and acting and interacting like in the way that represents how he feels that women should be, and his wife is on board with it, right? And so that's the tricky thing too, is because it's not just him. He has a wife that also hates women, and she's just parading around, like supporting the anti-woman movement. So he knows nothing of it, right? Like he could honestly be totally ignorant that there's like this existence of pushback or this existence of women who actually feel like discriminated against or this or that. Like he may not even know that. And that's the reality. Like I could have punched him in the face, sure, but it's more important to me to actually like appropriately and respectfully tell him like, no, actually that's not appropriate. And just because you have a wife that's ignorant of, you know, what it means to be a woman doesn't mean that that it's okay.
I
And
think
so
you should keep the whole punching thing in your back pocket though, like just in case. I wouldn't totally just get rid of that.
I mean, it might make me feel better for like a second, but it doesn't solve any problem.
That's true.
I
I
mean, you know,
think
the way like when somebody fights at you, like if you do something that, you know, maybe was hurtful or maybe wasn't the greatest or, you know, like I don't know, like it could be anything, like to your husband, like if you say something that you maybe didn't want to say and it comes out and if they react defensively, you're going to then react defensively and be like, no, like what I said was right, even if you really didn't think it was right. But if they come at you and they say, oh no, that actually like really hurt my feelings, you'd be like, oh man, like I'm sorry, like I really didn't mean to hurt your feelings. And so like the difference when you come at somebody that way is more profound, right? Like it's more altering. Like if I just punch him in the face, he's gonna be like, oh fuck that girl. But if I come at him and be like, oh actually that really like hurt, that was disrespectful, like that plants the little seed that he's like, even if he stood his ground in that moment, that was planted in his mind now.
yeah,
But it's, you
it
know,
helped educate
easier,
him without realizing it.
right? Like it's a
Yeah,
lot easier to write me off if I punch him in the face.
that's true. Yeah. And I think you also, without knowing it, also helped educate sort of your community and in letting them know that this is an experience you had and maybe they should think about if they're going to train at that gym, you
Right.
know, if that's something they should be aware of, because I think you should be aware of things like that.
Right. And that's
Like,
why I made an Instagram post and I shared the story and I tagged him in it
I love that for you.
because everyone who's here in this town should know that. Like if you have like the option to go to that gym, then you need to know what you're walking yourself into.
Yeah.
And you know, not all women, like you said, like it's a lot easier to just not say anything. I guarantee there's women that are going there now or have gone there in the past that have been like treated differently or they get this like even if it's like a subtle energy, like and they wouldn't say anything. And so I do feel that it's really important to be a person that's like willing to stand up to show other women that there is an option to stand up. And that's why I made that post and that's why I tagged him in it. And that's why I'll tell everybody about it. Like anybody who has any interest in any gym, like I will tell them not to go there.
Man, when you and I first started talking about this last week, I think Amanda, the first thing you kind of phrased it in a sense of like, hey, does this sound like discrimination to you? You know? And then you kind of quickly told me what happened, and I was just like, it took like 0 seconds, and I was like, yeah, 100%, you know? But I think in that moment, and when I like reflect on my own experiences as a woman, I think sometimes it's really hard to tell that that's actually what's happening to you. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of like you said, like it wasn't sitting right with you, you know? And I think so many of us, especially from a young age, like we're kind of trained to just like swallow that and to be like obedient to that, you know? Like you're told by a man what to do and you're supposed to be like obedient to that. And it's a really dangerous thing, you know, for us as women. And I actually like last night at the brewery, I had this experience, like, and I was thinking about you because this guy came and sat at the bar. I had two other coworkers working with me, and I didn't serve him initially because he was just kind of like off. Like, I just got a vibe immediately, and I was like, I don't really want anything to do with this guy. Like, I'm tired. And of course, he comes and sits right at the bar where I am and tries to like strike up a conversation with me. And I'm just like, and he was just like strange, right? Like he's just like, yeah, look at my shirt, you know? I don't, and I'm just like, I don't really care. Like I'm busy. And a few minutes later, I went to the back and I came out carrying a keg, an empty keg. And my male coworker tried to take the empty keg out of my hands. And I was like, yo, I got it. Like, I'm just gonna take this where I'm going. I don't need you to grab this. And that strange man at the bar was like, oh, not only is she like thin and beautiful, but also she is so strong. And I was just like, no, just like something inside me got like so angry. I was just like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you have, like, did I comment on your body when you ordered a beer or when you sat down at the bar? I didn't. I didn't. You know, did I like stare at you intently and make you feel uncomfortable? Like, I didn't, you know? Like, I just, I let you be, but you like can't let me be because I'm a woman. You know, so I definitely like, and then I just refused to serve him after that. Like, I was like, no, I will not engage with you. I will not serve you. Like, you can just leave. I don't care. Like he tried to actively order a beer from me and I was like, nope, just walked away. Like, so, you know, I think it's hard to learn how to like lean into that when you know that that's happening to you and it's a really uncomfortable moment and it really sucks. And like, so yeah, like I am so like, I'm so inspired by you, Amanda, and I'm so proud of you because the Amanda I've known for like the last, you know, I don't know, 10 years, like it just feels like you really took time to think about what was happening and how you wanted to respond. And I don't know, like I can't always do that, you know, so I'm proud of you for doing that. It's cool.
I mean, that's like, you can expand that to any interaction with anybody ever, right? Like in this, it happened, it just so happens that in this situation, it was a man commenting on me as a woman. But I do want to bring awareness to the fact that it's not just going to be men. Like these aren't just going to be interactions with like a man telling us that we have to be different as a woman. It's really like at this point, it's not man v woman, it's society. Like it's being obedient to society and what we've adopted and adapted to. And men and women alike are indoctrinated into that. And so like I do want to speak to like it could just have easily been his wife that had had the exact same interaction with me.
Mm-hmm.
And the situation still stands, right? Like she could be a woman discriminating against women, and I think in any situation with any conflict, like being able to communicate in that way is going to be so much more effective and so much more profound because it lands in such a different way.
Yeah. I find as a woman, when I'm discriminated against by other women, it seems to like cut a little bit deeper. Like growing up, you kind of expect to be like judged by males. Like that's just sort of the way the society cuts. But when the women do it, it seems to like slice a different angle for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of it everywhere, right? Like women are discriminating against men, men are
Yep.
discriminating against women, women are discriminating against women, men are probably discriminating against men too in some capacity. I mean, really,
Yes.
like it is happening like on all like it feels important to acknowledge that that's happening all across the board. And so I don't want to pull out as like this is just only happening because it was a man addressing me as a woman. But yeah, like and it is, I think it's true. It does cut deeper from like you're my kind. What do you mean?
Yeah. But that's just unfortunately a part of our society. I have found I've gotten better at it as I've started to not care what the fuck people think. As like I entered my 30s, it's like, oh, that actually speaks more about you than me.
I was like making my Instagram post, and what was really interesting is like I'm sure I left out a ton of different things, but there was like a whole slew, a list of things that we are told that we need to do that are literally changing our physical appearance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you name me one thing that a man has to do to change his physical appearance?
Hmm. And that was like kind of something I think you said during our initial conversation about this is that you have you told me like you've struggled to accept like this your hair
Mm-hmm.
on your body now, you know, like it's been a journey for you. This has been like a process. And like, and I think that once you said that, it took my rage level from like 10 to like, I don't know. I was just seeing red at that point because it makes me like there's something in me that gets so angry when, you know that like you're having that vulnerability, you're walking through that process, and you're trying to love yourself and, you know, accept this about yourself. And that is not an easy process by any means for anybody. And then to
Mm-mm.
have that, you know, called out and to feel like this person is, you know, like grossed out by it and had to like say something to you, that just makes me like 10 times more angry because I just am like, why? Why would you ever do that to somebody? Like, you know, like I totally it just and it makes me think like about how I interact with people, you know, and it's like, yeah, like how have I discriminated against other people, against other women, against men, against, you know, trans people, right? Like, I don't know, like there's such a vast like it's just crazy. Like I'm so mad about it and I also just think it's like such a good lesson to take to heart.
Yeah, it's really important to zoom out and to like look at how this could show up in any situation. And it is like it's a journey to be who we are because we're in a society that tells us that we are not allowed to be who we are. Like we have to fit in a box. We're put on the conveyor belt. We have to do XYZ. We have to, it's like, it's not just women. Like we are literally like as a culture, as a society, we are put on the belt at a young age and we're like told that we have to be in this box. And my total like existence is just like, fuck the box because I don't want to be in the box. And I'm really unwilling. And that's great. I am super stoked that that's how my personality is I'm like super unwilling to conform to fit into the box. And a lot of people are not willing to let their true selves out because they're not willing to risk what the loss might be. And they're probably like there are so many occasions, right? Like, oh, I might lose my job or oh, I might lose my relationship. You know, like I have a really like wonderful husband who has been super supportive of my experience of like, oh, I'm gonna not shave my body hair anymore. And there's a lot of men out there that would have been like, no, no, no. Like they would have not supported that. And so that's been a really like wonderful experience for me. But there's going to be like, there's a lot of people that are pushing back. And it's just not like our society is not designed for us to be ourselves. And we are so indoctrinated into that that we have to then like pull back the layers over time. And there's so many layers of like, who am I? Like, what is underneath all that? Right. Like, because we just don't always know because we're so programmed, just like everybody else is just like, we're all just as programmed. And so really like asking the questions and getting clear on like, what does it mean to be me and to show up as my authentic self in a respectful way? Like that, those are questions that are going to be like so useful. And it's going to create more space for us to have acceptance for everybody else, right? Because then we're going
Hmm.
to realize that everybody's so different. Because once we realize how different we are, we're not going to hold anybody else to the standard that they need to be the same, you know? But because we're all told that we're supposed to be the same, then when somebody's different, we're like, oh, you need to come on over here and be inside this box. And it's like the journey starts with self. Like the more clear you can get about who you are and how you want to show up, the more easy it's going to be to allow others to show up as well, right?
And did you I saw that you had a little like stat. Did you want to share that stat that you put?
Let me go to it so I don't mess up. But first I just want to say that um when you start showing up as your true self, if people are threatened by that, those aren't your people.
They are
Not
not
your
your
people. Yeah.
people.
If you're with a partner and you want to grow your body hair out and they're threatened by that because their masculinity is diminished somehow, that's not your person.
You know, while you're pulling up that, I'm gonna say my husband said the most beautiful quote, and I was like, it's amazing. He said that a man who is not able to, I don't know if he said not willing or not able to have an intimate relationship with a woman in her natural state, then he does not deserve a real woman.
Oh, that is so sweet and so true.
right?
So I did a little bit of research last night, and it was actually interesting because what I found, or I didn't find it, but what I read other people's findings, is that while both male and women struggle with body image throughout the years, they're almost reversed curves. So over 80% of women have reported that they've had struggled with some sort of body issue, but women in general tend to be targeted late childhood, early young adulthood. And that's when it peaks for us. And men tend to be targeted a little bit later. So starting in their like 20s, 30s, and it goes the other way for them, which I think is kind of interesting. But if you think about the images shown on media, it actually checks out that the women are always targeted to look younger and the men are always targeted to build bulk and look older. Um, but women, as they age, tend to report that they are happier in their own bodies over the years.
Mm.
That was
That's
my quote.
beautiful.
But yeah.
Yeah, and then I think you said also in your notes that I'm sorry, I am seeing now, but
That's okay.
I do think it's important that we say and that we acknowledge that everybody faces body issues, and everybody has their own struggles with body issues and body image. And so we just want to be really like we're aware of that, and we obviously want to be sensitive to that. So
Yeah, we are speaking as from our own experiences, which is not a male perspective in this group. So, we're not going to speak to the perspective we don't know, but we respect that you guys are also targeted.
So, I shared something, Amanda did. Did you have an experience you wanted to share that speaks to this or?
Oh, I shared one when I did my engineering one, but I'm happy to share it again because oh, here's a different one. This is also from engineering school. So I was picked to be a representative of the bioengineering department for like all these high schools came to our college and we showed them what bioengineers do. And because I am who I am, like I dressed up nicely, I looked very cute, and I had built myself a headband that day out of wire in class instead of doing my actual circuitry that I was supposed to. Anyways, all these people came in, and this woman came up to me and she said, "Can I just say something to you?" And I was like, yeah, go ahead. And she's like, "I just wanted to say thank you." I was like, "Oh God, for what?" And she's like, "Because you showed up like in a feminine form and you showed these young high schoolers that you can be both intelligent and feminine." And I like that. I think about that on a weekly basis. The fact that I was thanked for just showing up as me to an event at a school that I was qualified to be at, B, that I was representing something for these young women who, like, the fact you have to think about, can I be both feminine and intelligent? It's like absolutely crazy to me. Lipstick doesn't lower your IQ.
Wow, that is insane.
It
You've
was a
told me that
sleigh of an
before,
outfit
but yeah.
too. Sleigh of an outfit.
Oh man. I'll share one more because it happened just last night again.
Where are you working?
Windsor, if anybody cares to not go there.
Windsor, that checks out.
All you need to know is that alcohol's involved.
Yeah, but it was only like 3 p.m. So, anyways, I was taking a group of people's orders, and I guess there was two females and one male in the group. And I took their orders and I had a really pleasant interaction with them. And then my coworker served the beers, right? Then after the group left, my coworker was like, "Did you see how tall that woman was?" And I was like, I was genuinely like, where? Like, what are you talking? Like I was so like I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you didn't see her? And I was like, no. And he's like, you just served her. And I was like, are you taught? What are you saying? And then he like when she stood up, he's like, her. And I was like, oh, you're right. She is very tall. I was like, but I honestly was like engaged in having like a pleasant conversation with her. And I didn't I didn't take in any of her physical like attributes. So you're kind of like, why are you it's like I was so floored by that because I literally had no idea that the woman I had been talking to was like easily 6 feet tall, but she was just like such a pleasant person, and she was like asking me questions about my day, and like we were laughing about like how it was like a shit show, and we had this great interaction, and like I seriously did not even register anything, and I was just like so floored by that. I was like, why are you like, that's all you took from this really like easy person to talk to who's like so friendly and was so polite to you, like when so many of our customers are not, like why would you want to like walk away with that, like it just didn't really sit well with me. And anyways, I hope that coworker listens to this and then realizes.
We're indoctrinated into a very specific way of being and interacting.
Yeah,
It's true.
you're right. But
And it's like a daily struggle, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this probably stands for everybody, but every day it's like, I'm okay. My body's supposed to be this shape. My hair's supposed to look this way. Like, that's just, for me, it's a daily, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a size 0 anymore. You're 33 years old. It's okay.
yeah.
It's actually really quite great and better for you, probably.
Yes, you feel better. You know, my brain's like, it's okay. You feel better. You feel better.
I think
You
like
have muscle now.
Amanda, I think what you're doing with your body hair is so cool in a sense of like it's such a like practical way to like honor your body, and it's like it's kind of like a really cool practice to do every day, maybe. I mean, I didn't shave my legs for like a few months, and I knew like every day I had to like look at them and be like, do I hate this? Do I love this? Is this weird? Like, do I feel like a man? Like you go to the gym and you work out and people stare at you, right? Like they stare at your legs. It can be really uncomfortable. And it's like a consistent breaking and reforming of like your mind and how you see yourself. And I really respect it. Like I love that you're doing that, and that, it's like this journey for you. Like, fuck that guy for what he said to you. But like, I'm so proud of you. I think it's really cool. Like, maybe I'll start doing it. I don't know yet. We'll see.
I encourage everyone. I
Yeah.
mean, really, like, what the fuck? How old are we? 12, 13, 14? And
Yeah.
we're like, oh yeah, you have to start shaving your hair now. It's gonna take extra 10 minutes in your shower, and you're probably gonna get razor burn, and it's gonna be uncomfortable. Or if you don't like that, you can wax. Oh, and then when you're getting older and sex enters the scene. Oh, now you gotta shave your bikini line. Now you gotta, or that comes before sex comes on the scene. But oh, you might shave all of it. It's like you got to address what you're going to do with your pubic hair. You're like, look, I had a run for a really long time. Like when I was younger, I have an allergy to something that's in like a type of metal. So I would get rashes under my arms. I would get rashes all over my legs. I would get rashes where like on my bikini line.
Mm.
I tried waxing. I had ingrown hairs. It was like the gnarliest shit that I've ever experienced. And my body time and time and time again was like, stop fucking with me. It's like literally the message that my body was like, stop, just leave me alone. And I stopped messing with my pubic hair a long time ago because my body was just like, stop it, like, stop it, stop it, stop it. It's a really sensitive area. And there's all these ideas about how it should look and how we need to present wearing a swimming suit and what we're going to see and this and that, and all of this bullshit that we're like implanting at such a young age. Like, well, this is how you are now, this is how you look, but actually that's not how we want you to look, so you need to change it. Like, it's fucked. Like, that is a fucked system that we're teaching young girls. Really, really.
Really, and really young girls who
I'm
are
not, yeah. I'm not a fan
Yeah.
of makeup either. I could go on that tangent as well, but like that's not, it's still altering like your natural appearance, but it's not like removing something off of you. It's like the removal of the hair is so insane to me. Like if you use your brain and you think about it for a little while and you're like, like that is really fucked. And it's really hard to get used to. Like it's been 2 years and like Sage was saying, like it's still a struggle. Like I still have issues sometimes and I have conversations with my husband about it. And it was in a recent conversation is when he said that quote to me and I was like, okay, like I can get through this because I'm still looking at it. It's like we have these ideas of what's attractive, what's sexy, what's this, what's that. I'm like, somebody go look it up. Like, Mackenzie, you're good at research. I'm not. Like, go find when did shaving for women come on scene? Because I'll bet you it was not longer than 100 years ago. And even
Mm-mm.
it was probably far less than 100 years. So, like, in the span of our existence, like, we have not been doing this for very long.
No.
So, like, like, what is this? So, I encourage everybody because I just cannot, like, I cannot get on board and with presenting in a way that like our young girls are like, oh, this is how I need to look. Like it goes far, like to me, it goes far beyond like the weight issue and the makeup issue. And I'm not a fan of wearing bras either. We could go on a whole tangent about all the different things that I don't like that we're told we have to do with women. But like the shaving of the hair is just like it really sits in a lot deeper because like of all the things that I've stopped doing over the years, like this has been the hardest. It's been the
Mm.
like most difficult to transition to like be accepted in. Like it's just been the most deeply rooted one that I've experienced in. I'm like what really brought it on is the fact that I'm trying to have children. And if I have a daughter, I absolutely want to present and show up in the way that is an example to how I want her to feel comfortable showing up. And so, I can't like if I'm shaving and I'm putting makeup on and I'm curling my hair and dyeing my hair and I'm doing all the different things, I can't look at her and say, "Well, you don't have to do it. It's fine." Because she'd be like, "Well, what you're doing it. Why are you doing it?" Like that would be really confronting. And that's part of why I feel really strongly about all this is because there's this like, you know, future on the horizon of like what am I going to encounter should I have a daughter? And I just think about that. Like what are those conversations like when you're a young girl? Like, well, this is how this is what we do now. This is what you have to do. It's insane. It's literally insane.
It is,
Like
but
I have
like
so many memories of like pain and suffering from like razor burn. So many fucking memories. Like I remember going on a trip one day and like I was gonna wear a swimming suit and I wasn't prepared. It was in high school and I like dry shaved my bikini
oh
line because I was so nervous
No.
about anybody seeing my hair. And that shit was awful.
oh my
Why?
God. I'm
Why are
so
we why?
sorry.
Why are we doing this? And I am not the only person that's done that. Like,
No.
why?
I remember being like 12. Our mom surprisingly didn't let us shave till we were older. And I remember wearing capris to middle school, and I had like quite long leg hair, but it was blonde. And I would try to slick it down with the lotion so that you couldn't see it. Like I really tried to slick it down. And I remember like boys, I don't know what they were doing under the desk, but they were under the desk and they were like snickering and pointing at my legs. Zane Bickler, get fucked all day, baby. I
All
remember
day.
that shit.
Man, like, yeah, it's so terrible. It's so, I just like, ugh,
Man.
it's infuriating to me. Like, I can handle it. Like, I'm strong as fuck. Like, you want to try to get in my face? I'm gonna tell you what's up. Like, it's not gonna push me over, but it's gonna push a lot of other people over, and it's certainly gonna push the young girls over because they're not rooted in who they are yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
So
trying to
like,
think about what age it's like I started to think to myself that I wasn't like perfect the way I was. Because you start out, right? And you're like this cute kid and you're just living to like play with your friends outside and at what age is it you're like, oh, maybe I'm not hitting everyone's tick marks and I'm supposed to be? I think it starts really young.
I mean, it for sure starts at puberty because there's so many changes, but it definitely does start sooner. And like, I don't think it always starts sooner, but you know, that you have the girls that are in dance or gymnastics or like those kinds of performing arts, like it starts super young for them.
Facts.
Like it didn't start that young for me because I wasn't a part of any of that stuff and I always
Mm.
played with the boys, but it's like when your body starts to go through those changes and like that's when that stuff started coming online. Like, oh, I need to get my nails done. Oh, I need to curl my hair. Oh, I need to start wearing makeup. Oh, I need to shave. Oh, I need to put the bra on. Or, you know, like training bras are another thing that fucking like make me a crazy person because I'm just like, they don't even have boobs yet, but we're like putting a training bra on them. And P.S., there's a lot of information that shows that really tight bras are associated with breast cancer because it blocks the flow of your lymph. There's a lot of lymph nodes in this area. And we're literally like putting those on girls before they even have boobs to do anything with. And I don't even think you need it if you do have boobs. But again, we could go on a whole tangent on that. But it's like all these different things, like those things like started to come online at like puberty, right? Like that's whenever like if they haven't come online, they're gonna then. But for some girls, it does come sooner, especially depending on their mom, right? Like if you have a mom that's super like into all that stuff, then it's gonna come online a lot sooner.
I was gonna say, I think I was like in fourth grade. It was like the summer between fourth and fifth grade, and my mom, God bless her, uh, put me and only me on a diet for that summer because I was chunkier than, I don't know, other girls. I don't know. And that's when I kind of had that moment, Kinsey, that you said of like realizing like, wait, is something
Mm-hmm.
wrong? Like I remember asking her like, what, why? Like what's wrong? Like am I sick? Like what did I do? Like I didn't understand, and she was just like, and she was trying to be like very like subtle about it, but I don't think she realized like the trauma it would cause long term, because she was like, well, we're just like, you just need to like not snack, and you need to like drink this skim milk, and you need to like, like before you have snacks, you need to like ask me if it's okay, and like you need to eat less at dinner. Like, I mean, it was like a whole plan that her and my dad, I think, had discussed. And I was just kind of like, oh, I didn't, so I'm on a diet? Like, I'm in fourth grade. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know, but I don't know. So anyways, yeah, I think it can start at any age, and
Yeah.
it's just how we talk to the next generation,
The
and
culture is really, really indoctrinated into it.
yeah, totally. Um, okay, should we do some UPs? Or nope, I'm not supposed to call them that. Unpopular
No, that's not what
opinions?
they're called. UPs.
Whoa. Ah.
I guess we can call them that. Who cares? Our show.
Oh yeah. Um, all right.
If you've
Amanda,
got a
you
problem with it, you can come on our show and tell us about it.
please do. I want Amanda to go first.
I'm just gonna go for the easy one that I've already been harping on. My unpopular opinion is that women should not shave their body hair.
Oh
Anyway.
yeah. Yeah, and you live it, so I love it. Do you want to lift your arms up again or no? Yeah, there it is. So good.
You
Thank you so much for that.
want to see my legs too?
Mm. Yeah, but keep talking so the camera stays on you.
I don't know if you can really get a good view.
You can't really see anything.
Oh,
You can see.
Oh,
there it
that looks
is.
like a leg.
Yeah, this is a leg, It's a normal leg.
The legs, the woman's legs, what they look like.
Just a leg,
In case anyone was wondering how a woman looks.
It's just
We don't have hair on our face.
some do.
Yes,
Although
and
if you are
that's
going
actually
into
a
heart
hormone imbalance.
surgery,
Hormone imbalance.
if you have any back hair, shave that shit right off, because that's going to come off with stickers, and shave the chest both, like just PSA for everybody.
Now,
Heart
now.
surgery,
Now,
shave the
now.
front, shave the back. Save you a lot of strife.
Ken's, what's yours?
Okay. Mine is that I think these Stanley water bottles, if that's what we're deeming to call them, I just don't think so, are the fucking worst thing ever. They're stupid looking. They're gigantic. They're like open to the elements. And people collect like 5 fucking million of them. What are you doing with all those?
Are these the things with the straws?
Yes, the
Oh my
straws are like
God.
1 million miles tall.
Yeah, my coworker's straw almost poked my eye out the other day.
Yes.
I was like,
I'm
what
like,
is this water
get a
bottle?
hydro flask like a normal person. This is so not practical. Like, you can't put that in a bag. You can't bring that into an operating theater. Like, what is the point of these?
It measures like
Stupid ass
4 feet,
motherfucking shit.
dude, from
Yeah,
like base to top with the straw. That thing is huge. It's
it's
like
like 4 feet. Yeah. And then people like line up to get the special version of it. I'm like, you guys have been bamboozled right now. This is dumb.
I was thinking about
Dumb.
buying one.
Don't fucking do it. They're stupid.
Well, I don't think this has made it to Durango yet. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Wow, that's surprising. I would
They're
think Durango would be all over this one. It's a
they're like these stainless steel water bottles that have like a lid and then these ginormous plastic straws that like come out of the top.
yeah, it's like they went to 7-Eleven and they got a Slurpee cup and they were like, it's cool, let's make this into stainless steel. But instead of everyone being like, cool, it's a reusable thing, let's make it so they want 5,000 of them. The point is that you have one and you reuse it. I just like anyways, get on Stanley. They have bamboozled everybody, but it's they're dumb. I hate them. I stand firm in that.
All right. Here's my that's really good. Please do not walk your cat. Please don't take your cat to public spaces like coffee shops or breweries. Like nobody gives a fuck that you have a cat. So please
But you
stop.
can take your dog.
Yeah, I guess it's a thing here in Fort Collins that people do this with their cats. And like I had some people bring their cats in the other day, and I was just like, I don't care about your cat. And they were just like, look at my cute cat. And I was just like, it's gross. Like, please get it out of here, you know? Like,
I kind of like it.
ugh, God.
I,
I hate
I kind of
it.
think it's funny.
I think it's obnoxious.
But you also don't like dogs, so I mean, to be fair.
I prefer dogs 100% over a cat getting fucking walked around.
Like, I don't think you should be
Honestly.
able to walk your kids, you know?
Like,
I think dogs and cats, 100%. Kids, no.
you ever seen a cat in like a public space on a
You ever
leash?
seen a kid on a scooter? Shit's wild.
This cat like was like attacking the window because it saw its own reflection and was
I
like
love that. That's
hissing
entertainment for
and
days.
like all right. Well, you wrap it up, Ken. I was like,
We have an outro now. Thank you, Amanda, for coming on our show. We very much appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your experience with us
thank you
and
for wearing
teaching
the
us
tank top.
how to handle that with a little bit more directionality.
Grace.
I still think you
Grace.
should hit him, but that's just me, you know.
For sure. If anyone's interested, I'm gonna link Amanda's website below because she is a women's health coach. She's badass. She's my coach. And you should work with her.
We'll
So
link
we'll
the
link
gym
that.
if you want to leave a review. No, I'm kidding.
I absolutely will. That's no
But
big
you know,
deal.
if you want to do that, that's fine. They can't take those down.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want the gym name, please reach out. We'll definitely let you know. And
I have no resistance to people leaving bad reviews.
yeah, it absolutely needs to be said out loud that he discriminated against you. So, there's that. So leave a review and then make sure you check out our merch. That's how we support the podcast that you love so much. So, all right, have the day you deserve, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye. You can say bye, man, if you want.
Bye.